All right, my friends, Jameson Brandon here, and today we are in 2017. We're actually almost done with 2017. We're in October. Oh, no, we're not. We're actually in September. I lied again. But I'm here to talk to you about the 2017 nootropics that I've been using. Now, the reason why it's so late in 2017 and I'm shooting this video is because I don't just shoot these videos and talk about, theory and stuff that I heard from another video or read in a blog post somewhere. I actually am constantly always testing stuff out. So I wanted to take a few minutes with you today and talk about 2017 and talk about the nootropics that I found that are insanely great that have been working really well for me. So first and foremost, I want to note, you've seen my other videos by now where I talk in depth about nootropics and advanced stacks. You have to figure out what's going to work for you. Every single one of us is different. We've all got our little kind of ADD, OCD type issues and little character traits about us. So you need to find the stack that will work best for you. And the thing that I firmly believe is that there's so many different options out there that affect different lobes and areas of the brain that you can in fact find the ones that will be a slam dunk for you. A second part to that is you have to constantly be changing what you're using, constantly changing the dosing, giving yourself time off. And then also too, based on what's going on in your life, how your diet is, what age you're at, you have to constantly change the actual substance or stack that you're taking. So today, we're going to talk about three specifics that I really like a lot. And they are Fasoracetam, Kalluracetam, and Noopept. Which Noopept I've talked about before. I absolutely love it for getting that laser focus. But in 2017, I was experimenting with a few different things, and so let's just talk about those really quick. Early on in the year, I was actually using modafinil quite a bit. After probably 30 days of using it consistently, and I wasn't even taking that much, a 150 milligram pill is that big, then I would dice it down into quarters or maybe even eighths, and I would take that. That would be my serving size. But the thing that I found is it made me way too aggressive. So once my body loaded onto that, almost like a creatine loading phase, then my aggression was through the roof. And also too, I was really, really irritable, and I didn't really, my patience was affected. My ability to sit still and wait for something to occur like a natural person was really starting to go out the window. So after about 2 months of taking it consistently, hitting a big wall and realizing that it was a little bit too much for who I am as an individual already, because I'm already a pretty aggressive person. I set ambitious goals, I want to get a lot done, and so on and so forth. After I realized that, I took about a month off, and I came back to the table, and that's when I started researching these three. Well, I didn't need to research Noopept because I'd taken it before, but Kalluracetam, that's how I'm going to pronounce it, is for anxiety. So one of the things that I noticed is that with my morning greens that I take, which I've talked about in other videos, and a lot of my morning routine is it gets me a little too wound up sometimes. So the first one we're going to talk about is Kalluracetam. That's how I'm going to pronounce it anyways. It could be completely wrong. Serving size for each one of these is 20 milligrams, which seems to be perfect. So I will link to each one of these underneath the video, and you can read all the anecdotal stuff. You can read all the research-based case studies and double and triple blind studies that they've done on this. But let me talk to you about what I've actually noticed this to do. This really, and it's specifically for this really seems to cut off the edge, the anxiety that can start to happen from my morning routine. So, I take the morning greens every day, and a lot of times I'll do a coffee in the morning. Well, that puts me a little bit over the edge in terms of jittery and a little bit too much hyperactivity going on. So this racetam really seems to not only kick up my memory and my recall abilities, but it also will limit the anxiety and really just kind of wash over these feelings of okayness. And they'll last all day long. And so what I started doing is as soon as I got off of the modafinil and then got onto Fasoracetam again, I started stacking it with this because, again, if you've been around racetams for any length of time, you know that you can overdose pretty quickly. And what I mean by overdose is you take too much and you really don't know what to do with yourself. You're so focused, you're so orientated and present in every single moment you don't really know like what the fuck to do with yourself. So you're just kind of in this place to where if you're not doing something, you feel like you're going to explode. And so this really helps cut off that edge. This has been amazing for me to provide that for me. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Fasoracetam. And this one is by far my favorite. Now again, you can read what it does in a little product description on a link that I give you below, but here's what I can tell you from real world experience. So you know I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid. And whether or not you believe in that or think that it's real, whatever whatever side of the fence you stand on, I will tell you without a doubt that your ability to focus on one thing is definitely affected when you have this ADHD. Now, I don't know to what extent people have this effect and what extent people experience this in their life, but this one I really liked, and here's why. With modafinil, you kind of get a little bit of that, you remove a little bit of your empathy, you remove a little bit of that learned helplessness, which you could take it way further than that. Like learned helplessness is like victim mindset, right? Like everything is happening to me, poor old me, oh my gosh, like that's helplessness. And so learned helplessness, you could take it as far as any real resistance barrier, like those things that you've just been avoiding in your life. Haven't wanted to do it, you just keep making excuses, keep ignoring it. This is what you want to take. Because this will just beat the shit out of that almost instantly when it gets into your blood. And it lasts a long time. The dosage on this is 20 milligrams, which I think the preferred dosage is up to about 50 milligrams. I'll double check, and if there's a mistake, you'll see it underneath the video now. But this one is insanely good for removing all the like mental resistance pieces that creep in, all the maybe I should wait, let me just do this later, all the things you've been avoiding, maybe that to-do list is getting a little bit too big. This one allows you to just get into this space to where it's like, okay, this is next, okay, this is next, okay, this is next, and we just do. And I absolutely love that. And the reason why I love this racetam so much is because it's clean, like there's no real side effects to it. I will say that once it's gotten loaded into your system a little bit, it is quite strong, and so it can definitely dull out your empathy, and you can turn a little cold. And that's true for a lot of different racetams. Some of the like the phenyl and the Fasoracetam, when I would dose too high on those, very similar feelings to where I'm just so zoned in and so focused on work that I forget that like I'm a human and like everyone around me is a human being. You kind of get those same side effects as like an Adderall or a modafinil, to where you forget to eat. You get so focused on work that you kind of forget what's going on around you. So this one is definitely amazing for specifically that sort of learned helplessness, victim mindset, and again, memory focus is through the roof. And this one by itself is great, but when we stack it with Noopept, it becomes even that much more potent. And so Noopept, I'm a huge fan of this. 10 milligram doses is really good. 10 to 30 milligrams. I think 30 is a bit rough, especially for me. It's a little too much. But this is one that no matter if you just ate a ton of carbs, a ton of sugar, this will just drop you into a really focused mindset. I'm not going to say it's going to remove resistance for you and help you move through your to-do list. I'm just saying that sheer focus will be through the roof with this one. And I've really noticed that this last time around that I've been taking it. I've been taking this, even side by side, I was taking this with the modafinil, but all year long I've been taking this on and off between 10 and 30 milligram doses per day. And it's just incredible. Absolutely one of my favorite nootropics to this day. And the thing that I want to talk about next, all too often do I see people grab these stacks and they'll just go nuts with it. Like they'll take one of this, one of this, one of this, all at the same time on an empty stomach. Maybe they just had a coffee or some caffeine. You have to throttle this. You have to throttle this and really take it slow. Take one, measure the result, wait at least 30 to 60 minutes to see how it's hitting you. Let it get into the blood. Especially if you're on a full stomach of food, you need to wait an hour to an hour and a half to actually feel any effects off of a pill. Any pill, that's true. Whether it's a capsule or a hard-pressed pill, you would have to wait 60 to 90 minutes just to feel it. Now, if I'm on an empty stomach, it could be anywhere between 15 to 35 minutes usually to actually feel those effects. But take one, let it kind of kick into your body. How am I feeling? Check in maybe a couple hours, and then decide from there what you want to dose. And I've talked about this in other videos. I'll definitely link to, especially the advanced nootropic video. Maybe I'll link it right here. You want to really be mindful of your food and your diet. I tend to notice that when I go heavy on juice, like cold pressed juice, and I go heavy on very alkaline-based foods, alkaline-based water, that the half-life of these lasts that much longer. So I might have one pill in my system and it lasts 24 hours or longer because there's nothing really there to break it down. There's no sugars, fake sugars in my body. There's no complex carbohydrates or starchy carbs in my system. There's nothing really like that to stop it or slow it down. So it's got free reign to go through my body. Also, too, caffeine affects these things. So when I take caffeine, it can oftentimes re-spike up the effects and the feelings of these substances. So those are all things that you have to keep in mind before you start megadosing this stuff. Because I know that when it comes to nootropics, people tend to overdose versus underdose. So keep that in mind when you're using these. And the last thing I want to say is that underneath this video, there will be a link that you can purchase all 3 of these nootropics through. These are all available worldwide. You can order from anywhere in the world and they will ship to your door. It's not guaranteed that you'll get it through customs, but they will ship anywhere in the world. So go ahead and click the link under this video to order up these nootropics in these doses, which are my new preferred stack. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and be on the lookout because I'll be shooting more nootropic videos soon, my friends. All right, see ya.